Merry Christmas from AFR Talk and Focal Point. Connect with Focal Point via Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Brian J. Fisher.
Ralphie, what would you like for Christmas?
What I want for Christmas is a Red Ryder BB gun with a compass and a stock and this thing which tells time.
No. Shoot your eye out.
Oh, no, it was the classic Mother BB gun block. You'll shoot your eye out.
And Merry Christmas to all of us here from American Family Association, AFR Talk, and Focal Point in particular. That is seen from the classic Christmas movie, A Christmas Story. Don't get a BB gun for Christmas. You'll shoot your eye out. Now, speaking of guns, we want to transition into just some brief comments about what happened at this mall, this Clackamas Mall in Oregon. You're familiar, of course, now with the story. This guy goes in there, apparently rips off the gun, the semi-automatic weapon. He ripped it off, so he stole it. So what good is it going to do to legally ban semi-automatic weapons? They just go steal one. So anyway, he ripped off a gun. He goes in, and he kills 2 people, leaves others injured and wounded. And the point that I have made repeatedly in these circumstances is, and this is where Bob Costas and all of those commentators are just dead wrong. The problem is not that there are too many guns, but that there are not enough guns. That's the problem. There was nobody in that mall that had the capacity, had the ability to defend themselves from this guy or to defend their friends or their family. They were left helpless, had no choice but to run like scared rabbits, to cower behind planters and benches and stuff like that, had no capacity to defend themselves against this guy that was armed with lethal force. If they had, this circumstance easily could have turned out differently. And I was talking with Rob Gardner this morning, my director. You know, there was a time when the news account said that his gun jammed, and he had to unjam it in order to shoot more people. Well, there's a time where he's messing with the gun. He's wrestling with the gun. There's not a thing he can do to hurt anybody at that point because he's trying to get his gun to work. So if you got some people around him that are armed and they're, you know, maybe they're shooting from cover because they don't want to get taken out by this guy, but they've got their weapons out and they've got their weapons focused on this guy. They're waiting for a clean shot. There's your opportunity. I mean, you can even charge the guy. Somebody could charge from behind a planter and tackle the guy and take him out of commission. So there was an opportunity to protect innocent human lives if more people had been prepared to defend themselves against this guy. Now, John Lott was on Sandy Rio. She's a colleague of ours here at AFR Talk. She has the program 7 to 8 a.m. Central, which would be, 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And John Lott, who knows more about guns and gun violence and gun law than anybody virtually in the world, in the history of the world, was on her program. And by the way, an Illinois judge yesterday issued a ruling that Illinois cannot prevent concealed carry. It's the only state in the union that does not have any provision for concealed carry. That's gone now. This judge says you cannot do it because the Constitution says that you have the right not only to keep arms, but to bear them. What does that mean? To carry them around. That is a constitutional right that the founders enshrined in the Second Amendment. You have the right not only to own guns, not only to keep them, but you have the right to carry them around. That's a constitutional right. State of Illinois can't deprive you of that right. That's enshrined in the Constitution. And so that's what this judge said. Illinois they've got 180 days now to write laws that allow for concealed carry. Well, let's listen to a couple of clips from John Lott on Sandy Rios' program this morning about this whole issue of gun control, gun laws, gun violence. Let's listen.
I mean, if you have a mall or another public place, even if, let's say, there's a 5% probability that any one person is going to have a concealed handgun there for protection, when you're talking about 50 or 100 or thousands of people that may be in the vicinity, in those types of situations, you'll have the probability at least someone's going to be able to protect others there, and themselves is going to be extremely high. When you're just going and attacking one person or 2 people by themselves in a parking lot or an alley late at night, you'll have, let's say, a 5% probability that they're going to be able to defend themselves then. And one thing that I believe is true, and that is as the probability that somebody's going to be able to defend themselves increases, you see greater deterrence. And so that's the reason why I think when you look at these multiple victim public shootings, how they so exclusively seem to focus on those areas where guns are banned in order to go and do their attacks.
Well, and John Lott's exactly right. Where do they go? I mean, they go to places like college campuses because they know that colleges and campuses are gun-free zones. These people are sitting ducks. You go to public malls. Everybody's going to be unarmed. And so this is, I mean, they're not dumb. They're not stupid. They know where to go, where they go to theaters. And that theater in Aurora, Colorado, I mean, it made a big deal out of being a gun-free zone. You couldn't bring a gun into that theater. So the guy comes into the theater. He's the only one in the place with a weapon. Nobody's there with the ability to defend themselves or their loved ones or their dates or their wives or their children. They're just sitting ducks at the hands of the guy with the gun. So that I wanted to chat with you just a little bit about that situation over there from Illinois. Now let's shift gears just a little bit. I want to see if I can grab this story.